Hello, this is Ron Paul with your weekly update for Monday, October 12th. Following the recent Oregon school shooting, many politicians rushed to the microphones to call for new gun control laws. President Obama even called on gun control supporters to politicize the shootings, while some members of Congress worked to establish a special commission on gun violence. The reaction to the shooting stands in stark contrast to the reaction to the U.S. military's bombing of an Afghanistan hospital run by the international humanitarian and Nobel Peace Prize winning group Doctors Without Borders. Our Nobel Peace Prize winning president did apologize to his fellow Nobel laureates for the bombing. However, President Obama has not politicized this tragedy by using it to justify ending military involvement in Afghanistan. No one in Congress is pushing for a special commission to examine the human cost of U.S. militarism, and the mainstream media has largely ignored Doctors Without Borders' accusation that the bombing constitutes a war crime. The reason for the different reaction to these two events is that politicians prefer to focus on events that can politicize and increasing government power. In contrast, politicians ignore incidents that raise uncomfortable questions about U.S. foreign policy. If the political and media elites were really interested in preventing future mass shootings, they would repeal the federal gun-free school laws, for example. By letting shooters know that their intended victims are defenseless, the Gun-Free Schools Act turns school children into easy targets. But even some who oppose gun control are using the shootings to justify expanding federal power instead of trying to repeal unconstitutional law. Some opponents of new gun control laws say Congress should expand the federal role in identifying, tracking, and treating those with mental health problems. This ignores the fact that many shooters were using psychotropic drugs prescribed by a mental health professional when they committed the horrible crime. Whilst other political and media elites are eager to debate how much liberty people must sacrifice for safety, they are desperate to avoid debating the morality of our foreign policy. To admit that the U.S. military sometimes commits immoral acts is to admit that the U.S. government is not an unalloyed force for good. Even many proponents of our recent wars support using the U.S. military for humanitarian purposes. They thus are as reluctant as the neoconservatives to question the fundamental goodness of U.S. foreign policy. Anyone who raises constitutional or moral questions to the U.S. use of drones, bombs, indefinite detention, and torture risk being attacked as anti-American and soft on terrorism. The smear of terrorist apologist is also hurled at those who dare suggest that it is our interventionist foreign policy, not a hatred of freedom, that causes people in other countries to dislike the United States. But what is a more logical explanation is for why someone would resent America is a family member being killed in a drone attack launched by the U.S. military, then rage over our abundance of liberty. Clearly, politicians will never stop expanding government and give us back our liberties unless and until the people demand it. Thanks for calling this update. A new update is placed on this number, 888-322-1414, every Sunday. The written text can be found on my Ron Paul Institute website at www.ronpaulinstitute.org and on my Facebook page. Thanks for calling.